And welcome back to another daily devotion. I am Pastor Roy here at Woodlawn Christian Church in Lake City, Iowa, and this devotion is for Wednesday, January 17th of 2024. We are working our way through the Gospel of Mark, and today we have made it to chapter 6. We'll look at the first 6 verses, verses 1 through 6. The Revised Standard Version, which is a translation that I've been using for most of these studies, calls this section the rejection of Jesus at Nazareth. Jesus has come home. And let's see what the reaction is in Mark's gospel to Jesus coming back home. Mark chapter 6, verses 1 to 6. He went away from there and came to his own country, and his disciples followed him. And on the Sabbath he began to teach in the synagogue, and many who heard him were astonished, saying, "Where did this man get all this? What is the wisdom given to him? What mighty works are wrought by his hands? Is not this the carpenter, the son of Mary, and brother of James and Joses and Judas and Simon? And are not his sisters here with us?" And they took offense at him. And Jesus said to them, "A prophet is not without honor, except in his own country, and among his own kin, and in his own house. And he could do no mighty work there, except that he laid his hands upon a few sick people and healed them. And he marveled because of their unbelief. And he went about among the villages teaching." Well, we contrast this section here where Jesus is marveling at their unbelief with the last two, where the faith of the father, Jairus, and his daughter, who bringing Jesus to his daughter, that she was brought back from the dead, and the woman with the hemorrhaging, her faith that if I can just touch the fringe of his cloak, I will be healed, and she was. And so Jesus is complimenting her especially on her faith. But here, it's the other story. It's the other side of the whole thing. There is no faith. And we talk about this. You've got to remember, though, as we talk about this, Nazareth is a small town. It's, I forget the exact number, but it's not unlike Lake City, where I am a minister, where you about 1,700 folks that live here, many of whom are related to one another within a few generations. And it would even be more so in a village in Jesus' time, the first century, with the difficulty of traveling long distances. People would tend to stay in the same geographic area within which they were born. And so you would have many generations of folks, pretty much probably everybody in that village within a certain number of generations, hard to guess, but wouldn't be as many as we might think. They would be able to find a common ancestor. So these people are related by blood and by experience. They've grown up together. They know Jesus. And they say that here. Is this not the carpenter, for crying out loud? His father was a carpenter too. What gives with this? And that means it could be a stone worker, and very much likely, I think Jesus was a stone worker than somebody who worked with wood, but that's another point. They list the brothers, James, Josie, and Judas, and Simon. So he's got 4 brothers, and then he's got sisters. We don't know how many sisters, but Jesus has brothers and sisters. Those that want us to say that he was an only child, sorry, Mark tells us different. I can't help it. It's there. So at any rate, we know him. And how difficult is this? We can be reminded of the doubting Thomas. Some scholars believe that Thomas was one of Jesus's brothers. And if he was, that would be a part of the reason why he was like, "You're telling me my brother came back from the dead? I need to see more proof than just you telling me that." And I think we probably would, because you grew up with him. He's my big brother. He picked on me, for pity's sakes. And so here these people have had experiences with Jesus. And it's when we run into that in our lives, because we will, you are the most, when we get a bunch of family together, I come from a large family, 8 kids. You come together and it's some of those old things come back up, and the ones that picked on one still pick on one. Find ourselves falling back into that. So you see the same kind of thing you see classmates. You go to your high school reunions. Usually the first night everybody's talking to everybody, but if you're there for several days, pretty soon those old cliques start popping back up. And some of those old things start coming around. So as Jesus is there, at the long made short, or to make the short of the long of it, you are, as Jesus says here, a prophet is not without honor except in his own country and among his own kin and in his own house. That's the point. And again, we'll see that in our own lives. Your children are less. It's very difficult sometimes to evangelize to your own children. You can do it over a course of a lifetime, but if you try to do it in a quick way, especially grown children, if they've fallen away, probably going to be difficult. Somebody else is probably going to have more success. All of those things. Some of the evangelizing to relatives that seen you grow up, watched you grow up, may be difficult, may be very difficult. So we can run into that same thing. And people that you grew up with in school, if you go back and see them, may be very difficult. The longer that you've been apart again, perhaps the better it is. But Jesus has just left Nazareth not too long ago, most likely. He's grown up there and went away and started this ministry that he's doing. And they're all like, what the heck happened here? And so when we have that, run into that phenomena on our own, I guess the long story made short again is that we shouldn't be discouraged by that, because even Jesus experienced this, and we just have to keep being faithful. And that sometimes our ministry needs to be not where we grew up, but somewhere else, for that very matter. And that's okay. That's just the way it works. It's been that way since the first century, at least. Probably been that way ever since the dawn of humanity. With that, I'm going to let you go for today. Bottom line, don't be discouraged. If you're having trouble ministering to your family or evangelizing to your family, just keep working away. In time, it'll work. But it is difficult. And understand it was difficult for Jesus. So tomorrow we're going to deal with the mission of the 12, or let's talk about the mission of the 12. Have a blessed day. Please be a blessing to someone today. If you enjoy these devotions, like and subscribe. Come on back. We'd love to have you back again. Take care. Have a blessed day. Remember, God loves you. Bye-bye.